Hey there. So in this video, I'm going to give you a guided tour of the Rimo3 platform and take you through the steps that we typically take customers through when we do a technical demo of the product. So this is where we start. So this is the overview dashboard, which allows a customer to really view everything that has been onboarded to the Rimo3 platform. And you can imagine for a new customer deployment, this will be empty. But we have some options that I could take you through on here. So we can sort by package type. And what's important to note here that we have so we'll see packages in their original format, but also we'll see them in their modernized format as well. Because what we do when I talked you through that slide, let's say we converted this application to MSIX, so NitroPro 13, and it's successfully converted, then how we do a post-conversion test in its newly converted state, we re-onboard it to the platform. So we will do a new discovery sequence and a new baseline sequence for that modernized application to therefore prove that it still installs successfully. And we can see the expected executable shortcuts compared to the original package format, and the same for the baseline. We can confirm that it still runs successfully in its newly converted format. So that's really an explainer as why you would see both modernized formats and original formats when you're looking at the total view. And again, you can sort by application name and by sequence, both sort of failed, passed, not completed, and onboarding status, as well as tags. Also, you can also search for an application, and you can also search for tags. So you can tag applications to help maybe a customer wants to sort them into business units or order of business priority, business importance. So all of those are achievable in the platform. Also, we have along the top here, so we have a total of 152 applications on the Rimo3 platform, on this platform, and they are made up of 86 applications that we have imported, and 66 of those 86 we have modernized to either app volumes or MSIX or FlexApp1 formats. So therefore those two numbers add up to 152. Okay, and so the 66 is broken up by these categories. So we've got 39 MSIX packages, 25 app vols, and 2 FlexApp1. And we can then filter this view based on a number of criteria, such as whether discovery failed or whether the baseline sort of post-conversion smoke test failed, or ones that actually passed that post-conversion smoke test and therefore have been successfully onboarded to the platform in their newly modernized format. Or you can look at the total view, which is here, or just MSIX's. Which actually now takes you through to the modernization dashboard. So I will just come back to that in a second. So that was where we were at. So we can see by clicking on these buttons, it will take us through to the modernized dashboard, but I will come back to that one in a second. So in terms of the onboarding pipeline, so for those 86 applications that we imported, so 86 were imported, and then of those 86, we have put 79 through discovery, And of those 79 that we put through discovery, we have completed the baseline on 71 of those. So therefore, there are still 8 applications that can be moved from discovery to baseline, and 7 applications that can be moved from import to discovery. So that's really an explanation of those numbers. And the same with the modernized category. Whether you're looking at the total, you can filter on these numbers. And again, for import, you've got different filters that we've got baked in. So we've got 1 tagged for review. We've got 3 that we have excluded from reports and from the platform. And we've got 3 candidates that could be passed forward to the next phase, which is discovery. Orphaned, this we don't have any in that category, but this is where somebody has created a application entry. So we've got an application entry or a container in the storage container for that application, but there are currently no source files available. They may have been deleted for whatever reason. So that's what orphaned means. Going across to discovery, so if we've got any that are running, we can filter on those. Any that have failed discovery, any that completed discovery but we didn't detect any shortcuts that were deployed, so no shortcuts, so therefore no shortcuts for us to test in the baseline. So that could be things like driver packs, for example, that a customer may have in SCCM, that would lay down some drivers onto the end user device, but not necessarily executables or shortcuts. Again, that's a great thing around our automated discovery. When a customer pulls everything in from SCCM, we're able to identify which of those artifacts are truly applications, and those which are not, such as service packs, driver packs, those sorts of things. And then we've got 3 that have successfully passed discovery, and we can move these on to baseline. And to do that is pretty straightforward. You've got this progress items button here, and from here you can choose to move them onto baseline or move them onto baseline plus target test, or you can just do that and hit progress when you're ready. And then finally the baseline view, so any that are in progress, any that failed that baseline, and any that have completed the baseline successfully and are ready to move on to the target environment test. So the question you might be wondering is, I thought the platform was fully automated, so why am I having to move applications on from stage to stage? Well, that's because we've wanted the platform to be flexible, and based on customer partner feedback, we've enabled the customer to define what their pipelines look like, what levels of automation they want in the platform. So when we look at onboarding an application, for example, and to do that, we can either click this button up here, add package, or click the onboard button here. And this brings the onboard menu up. So from here, we can onboard from config manager, for example. On first run of the config manager import, it will pull everything in, and all subsequent runs will be just deltas. Or we can upload a package. So this is just straightforward upload. So for like an MSI or an AppV or an MSIX, for example, where it's a very simple packaged application. Or it's if it's like a scripted install, then we would have the manually create package, and this is where we can define the details of that package, so display name, publisher, version, and then we would define the install and uninstall command, and then point at the source files. So great for like PowerShell scripts or PowerShell deployment toolkit applications, VB scripts, those types of complex customized installations. However, the point I was making was around that choice of automation. So when we onboard a package, we've now given customers the choice of that automation. So if you leave all boxes ticked, then that application will do the import, it will do the discovery, it will do the baseline test, and it will do the target environment test, which includes your target environment that you've set, but also the AVD environments as well. So single session, multi-session tests. So full automation versus maybe you want to bring the applications in tranches. So let's discover what we've got, and then let's choose to move forward. So it may be a rationalization exercise before we sort of move on to applications that we want to test. Or even it might be SCCM to Intune, for example. We might not be testing applications, so therefore we may want to discover what we've got from SCCM before migrating those applications over to Intune. So customers have that flexibility to what we call roll their own pipelines. From here, we can also export applications. So these are applications that we're not converting, but either wrapping as a .intune win or exporting to a Windows Package Manager repository. So you can select multiple. So you could select all of the apps here, and we could export all of those to an Intune environment if we want to, or to a WPM environment. Or we may not want to upload them to Intune. Maybe we just want the Intune win, so we can do that as well, and that will give you the option to download them locally. We've also got Excel reports, so that's not like a cancel button, that's actually an X for Excel. So you can download a CSV file of this of the onboarding dashboard, which gives a dump of all the applications that has been onboarded. Let me just give you a quick view of what that looks like. Here we go. So you can see this is all the applications that have been onboarded and all the associated metadata and the results of the onboarding. So discovery, baseline, any tags, then what we've discovered in terms of number of executables and number of shortcuts. So that's one of the many CSVs that you can download from the platform to be able to maybe build into some wider reporting that you're doing. Other bits and pieces on here, we've got exclude this button, reverse an exclusion if we wanted to. So if you go back to those packages that we excluded in here, if we wanted to reverse that exclusion, we would just select it and click on the plus icon to reverse that exclusion. And then we can also tag applications as well. So if we wanted to tag or amend the tags, we would be able to click on this button to do that, and that enables you to edit the tag up here. And again, if you've got one which already is tagged, this one here, select it, hit the tag button, and that will enable you to add an additional tag or remove that existing tag. And you can do that by bulk as well. And if you wanted to delete a package, you can do that as well. Just select the package you want, hit the delete button, and that will delete the package. It is recoverable, so if you want to recover deleted packages or really hard delete packages, if you go to the advanced menu and hit recovery, this will allow you to recover something you've deleted or do a full hard delete. So that will remove the entry in the storage account fully of that application. So no going back once you've done that. Okay, so that is the overview dashboard. From here, you can also manage the environment. So this is something that comes up when you first deploy the Rimo3 environment, but it can be rerun at any time. So it allows you to select, okay, what are we baselining applications against? What is the OS? So that could be one of these Azure Marketplace gallery images. So it could be server, could be multi-session, could be Windows 10, Windows 11. or it could be a customized image, which will appear at the top here. So any custom builds you've onboarded, you can select those as the current OS. So this is what will be used for discovery and baseline. Then the target environment. So this is your target. So Windows 11, Windows 10, or Windows multi-session server. And for your AVD test, could be multi-session, could be a server. So that's for really the VDI, so not VDI, the RDSH, so the remote desktop session host for multi-user. And then modernize OS is what is the OS which you'll do a MSIX conversion on. Okay, so that's pretty much anything and everything you can do from the overview dashboard. So what else do we have on the left hand side here? So sequences. So everything we do, whether it's an import, whether it's a discovery, whether it's a baseline, whether it's a conversion, whether it's an export, is what we call a sequence. And from here you can see all of the sequences that have ever run in this environment. So in this instance, we've done 423 pages of sequences. So 4,222 in total. So it's really a history of everything that's been run in the platform. So you can click on one of these to drill into that sequence, and this will take you to the sequence page. And this sequence page is the same format for any sequence that runs. So we have, okay, what was the virtual machine that this sequence ran on? What was the operating system that it ran on? What was the result of that sequence? And what were the different phases that that sequence went through? And then on here, we can see the console view, which is the log file. You've got video, you've got outputs, such as screenshots, and you've got the performance tab as well. So if you wanted to look at the entire console from end to end, you just click on the top view, and this will give you the full process from the provisioning of the virtual machine all the way through to the running, installing, uninstalling of the application, or you can filter on each of the stages to look at that specific activity. So where there are multiple shortcuts, we will run those shortcuts in sequential order. So if you want to look at the video, hit the video tab, and you'll see that desktop view that we've recorded of the application running. And you can fast forward through, scroll forward. Same for any screenshots that we took as well. They'll be on there, and those performance metrics. So what was that impact on CPU, memory, disk, and network, and GPU when we ran that test, and how long did we run it for? And then you've got the full elapsed time at the top left there as well. I'll come back to sequences in a minute when we start to look at some advanced some of the tests, results, and things like that. So that's sequences. Then coming down, we've got migration suitability. So this is a dashboard to help you look at the comparison between the baseline and a target environment. So Windows 10 to Windows 11 in this example. So this gives you a view of all of the application tests or intelligent smoke tests of all of the onboarded applications against the target operating system, which you'd have set in that manage environments page. And here you can filter on different views. So all the applications that passed, all the applications where we haven't got a result yet, all the applications that failed. Same applies to these areas. These are all filter hot clickable areas. And also up here where we sort of aggregate that performance. So what was the performance aggregation that we saw? In this instance, pretty much all applications perform the same when comparing baseline to target, but we would highlight any that performed better or any that performed worse. So if you wanted to just look at the failed application, so you would click on that filter, and then you can click on the failed button, will drill to that sequence for that application to allow you to view the video or view the console view to understand, okay, why did it fail? So in this instance, the installation failed with the exit code, so therefore you probably want to look into that to understand why the installation failed for that application. Going back to this dashboard, so you can export it. So as I said earlier, multiple CSV options, so you could export this this dashboard as a CSV, so therefore you could plug it into a Power BI dashboard or create a report from it. AVD suitability, pretty much as it says on the tin, so this gives you this end-to-end view of AVD suitability. So as is, so single session is what we call the as is test, and then multi-session, did it successfully pass that multi-user, multi-session test. So this is where we are running that application against multiple user sessions running in parallel. And we also present the MSIX result on here as well. So, typically we would mark an application as fully AVD ready if it passed all of these tests, as well as being able to run successfully as an MSIX as well. You may have noticed this facilitated UAT option as well. So at the time of this video, this is something that is currently in private preview, but I'll show you that in a quick second. So one of our new features at the time of this video. Modernized dashboard. This is what you had a brief look at earlier, but I'll just show you it in a bit more detail. So here is where we can see all of the different applications that we've converted or captured in these formats. So on the left here, you'll see the package in its original format. Just extend this view. So it's got some AppVs, got some MSIs, got some scripted installers. So here you get the conversion results, but also that post-conversion smoke test results as well. And also we have some narrative in the summary as well. So for example, this package was previously modernized, but it's been removed. So provide a bit more detail here, and again you can filter on these views as well. So on converted, on modernized. So converted is converted, but modernized is where it's also been post-conversion smoke test, so fully modernized. And the same for our app volumes, and the same for Flex App 1. And again, all of these you can export them, but from here you could also download them locally if you wanted to as well, to be used for your management platform of choice. MSIX slightly different. For MSIXs, we can export these to Intune as well as Nerdio and WPM. Same for our vols. Flex App 1, you can wrap those as .intune wins and get them into Intune if you want to, and WPM. So some more options for those. So contextually aware these options are. The manage dashboard is currently exactly the same as the migration suitability dashboard. This is being evolved over time, but this is the idea is where you would do those iterative tests. So migration is like a one-time migration. Manage, in the future, we're going to light this up to be more around being able to manage sort of modern patching. So to manage a history of your test results. So watch this space. On the advanced menu, you've got a few things available on here. So you've got that sequences menu, which is the same as there. Recovery I showed you earlier. The environment, so status gives you a overall view of the health of your environment. So you've got your gateway, which is the main thing. You want this to be online. So this is either going to be in a state of online, running, or offline. Offline means you probably it's probably been switched off, or it's gone offline for some reason. The Rimo3 application or gateway application has failed, so worth looking into if that is offline. On here we also have the let's move that away. Also have the what we call a persistent task runner as well. So the persistent task runner is our task runner application that runs on the gateway server. So that does things like import of applications. That's responsible for running those sequences. Also, the export to Intune is run by that. So if you ever got the instance where an onboard, so this was online, but you are failing when you're trying to import an application or failing when you're trying to export an application to Intune, just check the status of the persistent task runner down here. That is likely offline or unknown. So just want to try rebooting your gateway if that happens. We've also got task runner config. So this page allows you to sort of scale out the platform. So let's say, so by default, we have 3 target environment virtual machines. But let's say a customer was under really tight timescales and they needed to validate all of their apps against Windows 11 and they only had like a week to do that. So what you could do is you could provision additional target environments. Add provisions, the wrong one. Add additional target environments by setting the environment type, setting the OS image. You have to set it the same as the current target environment. So in this instance, Windows 11 22H2. And then you could give it a name, so target environment PM4. Save, and then that gives you an additional task runner. So here, so therefore, when you trigger the new test, it would leverage all 4 of those. So again, that's how you scale out that environment based on times, and you can always remove that extra one if you want to. And the same can be done for the persistent task runners as well. So say you were doing maybe an Intune migration and you really wanted to get those applications in fast, you could build out additional persistent task runners as well to perform those activities. The provision allows you to set up an additional provision one for use immediately if you wanted to. So for example, if we were domain joined and we wanted to test domain join was running successfully, we could provision a task runner and do it as a debug task runner. Custom images, this is where you can add your custom images. So here, for custom images for Rimo3, they need to be sysprepped VHDs and they need to be added to your Azure image gallery that you manage, and therefore we just need the Azure reference ID to leverage that image that's available in the same subscription as the Rimo3 deployment. And here what you can also see is the Nerdio images that we've pulled in from Nerdio Manager for Enterprise. So all of the images here are able to be selected when we do the manage environment to be deployed against the task runner VMs. Additionally, we've got settings. So this is additional settings in the environment. Most users won't use these, but we've got a few FlexApp settings. So FlexApp license, file, and a bunch of other stuff where you can customize the environment, mostly done by an admin. Here you can manage your tags on a pane. So if you've got multiple tags, you can manage them here. And then the important one is integrations. So this is where we can set up our connections into Config Manager, Intune, WPM. If you are uploading from a manual device, you can set up a link, Nerdio integration, and our API as well. So when you click on one of these buttons, it actually opens the full integration page, and here is where you can add your SCCM server, for example. So the host name or IP would need to be resolvable from the gateway, and put that there, and then your read-only analyst credentials go in there. And as you can see, you can have multiple SCCM server connections, and the same for Intune. So for Intune, you just need a friendly name, tenant ID, the app ID of the client of the app registration, and the secret that you generated. So paste that in there. And you can also force Intune Win or Win32 apps for any Intune export, such as MSIX, for example. You can wrap those as .Intune Win. WPM, so this is where you add your entries here, and for Nerdio as well. So we've got documents available in the partner portal that detail all of these different activities that you can view. And then additional ones are really for admin users only, so I'm not going to show those, but one important one is here is the support request. So here is where, if you're having an issue with the platform, you could create a support ticket in our queue, provide your details and mark what priority it is, and subject, attach any screenshots and message. So that's where you can raise a support ticket. Also, if you are an admin for a customer tenant, here is where you can do user management. So if you want to add your colleagues to the tenant, you can pop their email address in here, click the app button, and it will send them an invite to set up their account, or you can manually provision their account and set the password and things like that. That's user management. Finally, on here we've got Jumpstart report. So what is that? That is an out-of-box AVD assessment report. So what it will do on the fly, it will create a PDF which will give a end-to-end view of all of the onboarded applications, with their, I suppose, validation against AVD or suitability report against AVD. So it will show an all-up view for MSIX, multi-session and single session, and then we'll go down into each and every onboarded application to show their suitability against single session, multi-session, MSIX, and also their how they perform against each of those scenarios in both its original format and its MSIX format. Okay, so that's pretty much all of the menus. Let me just give you a demo of the some of the sequences and applications. So first bit is discovery. So what do we show in discovery? So let's look at a previously discovered application. So discovery, if you recall, is both a combination of gathering the metadata binary, so that's this information here, and the return codes as well. And then we provision the task runner VM and install the application, and this is where we capture all of the executables and shortcuts that that application laid down. Platform automatically ticks the shortcuts, and therefore these are the shortcuts that will be tested during the baseline and target environment tests. Any services get laid down, and then we can define any dependencies for this application as well. So dependencies will be installed prior to this application being installed when we run baseline target environment test. Dependency is an application, you can select an application that has already been onboarded to the Rimo3 platform for a dependency. Also some activities at the top here, so you can edit this information. So you can amend the install timeout. So if it's a rather large application, it's taking over an hour to install, you can extend this. You can amend the install and uninstall command. You can add arguments to these shortcuts. You can mark additional ones if you want to add more tests or take away. Add additional return codes as well. Add a tag, add a comment. Remove dependencies, and then save the information. If you do change the install command, please note that it will then rediscover, it will trigger a rediscovery and rebaseline of the application because it's changed. From here you can also export directly into Intune. or if it's going through a different phase, like you can progress it, or you can re-baseline it and rediscover the package if you want to. And then manual UAT is our new feature. So here is where you can provision a task on a virtual machine against the target environment and have a end user come and RDP onto that machine, and they can then do their functional testing of that application. So clicking save here will now trigger the provisioning of a UAT virtual machine. And then you can re-upload or you can delete it from here as well. So let me just show you what a failed application looks like. So let's say this one here, you can see that it failed the baseline test. So we've got the detail in the console view. So this application installed, and then we had a runtime error 484 with this error message. So therefore we present back the failure and the error message that we received. You can also see the video of this experience. So the application is installed silently. Then we launch the application. And then you can see it had a 484 error. So that's the sort of information then that can be shared to start looking to remediate that package. So let's say the scenario is you are doing a Windows 10 to Windows 11 migration. So oh, sorry, I just tried to change the environment. Of course, sequence is running. So let's say you would onboard all of their applications from SCCM. So import discovery and baseline against their current OS, Windows 10. And then you would have Windows 11 as the target environment. So if you wanted to do fully automated, you've got the SCCM connection set up. You do leave all of this green, so therefore it's going to automate the import, the discovery, the baseline, and also the target environment test. So this is sort of fire and forget option. Hit submit, and this would poll SCCM for all of those packages, bring them in, and then take them through the stages of import, discovery, and baseline and test. So come back or watch it live, but then go to migration suitability, and here is where you could download that Windows 11 suitability report in a CSV format to provide a report back to the customer, or use the dashboard as a reporting platform. So this will give them their Windows 11 suitability of 86%, and those 6% that failed, they would need to remediate and look into as to why they failed Windows 11 test. So that's really how you would manage it from a migration perspective. If it was, let's say, an SCCM to Intune migration, so you would import the packages from SCCM, and then you would just select the ones you want to export into Intune and simply export them to Intune. Really straightforward. Like the Intune thing is very quick. Let me just show you a quick example of that. Let's see if I want to export this application into Intune. Let's say I'm just doing one, so I could do it from the package details page if I want to. I pick my Rimo3 tenant, hit OK. My Intune tenant, hit OK. And then I can go straight to the sequences page just to monitor that sequence. So you can see this is progressing in real time. So it's created the Intune Win, which is the first step using the Intune Win app utility. Then it creates the Intune application object with the binaries that we have for that package. So install command, uninstall command, product code, return codes. And once it's done that, then it goes through the process of uploading the application to the Azure Storage Blob URI, and then checking that it's processed and committed successfully. So that just takes a couple of seconds to confirm that it's there, and then that sequence is marked as completed, and that application is exported to Intune, and typically it's under a minute for a simple application like this. So there you go, 1 minute and 1 second. And if I went into Intune, and just let me filter on or add it there, and then you can see this application was created just now, and then this is now in a deployable state to users, devices, groups, however the customer sees fit. So we automatically add the detection rule. So for MSIs, we add an MSI detection rule. For non-MSI applications, we would use the first shortcut in the discovery page as a file detection rule. And let's say AVD scenario, so onboard the applications, and from here you would go through that sort of automated testing against AVD, so you can provide that single session, multi-session reports and MSIX report if you wanted to. So you've got it as a CSV file, but also this jumpstart report, which is this sort of predefined out of the box report for AVD suitability. So you've got that end-to-end view of AVD view, so AVD environment view, then multi-user view, and then MSIX suitability as well. And then we drill down into each application to look at the performance differences across each scenario. And it does that for every application that's onboarded. So quite a cool report that's available out of the box. Okay, I think that was quite a lot. So yeah, for any further and other information, there is the documentation that's available in the partner portal, or if you need some help, just please get in touch with us and we can run this as a session with you, which we would do as part of our onboarding with you. But hopefully this video will helps you give that provide you with a good overview of the Rimo3 platform. And yeah, hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much.